Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee retains all policy parameters in the last meeting of the year, just as federal government targets 15% tax to GDP ratio with expected finance bill, and advertising sector players advocate review of communication policy, plus metal commodity prices all upbeat in early trade on Wednesday. Now, details of these and more on this edition of Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Amina Nujaim. Thank you for joining us today. The two-day Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the Central Bank of Nigeria ended with the decision to retain the benchmark interest rate at 13.5% as well as maintain all other parameters. It also retained asymmetric corridor at plus 200 and minus 500 around the MPR, cash reserve ratio 22.5% and liquidity ratio at 30%. The meeting, which is the last for the year, had all 11 members in attendance.
The improvements in the macroeconomic indicators, such as the gross domestic product, the non-performing loans ratio, the capital adequacy ratio of the banks, as well as the loan-to-deposit ratio, suggest that the current monetary policy stance is yielding results. It therefore feels that maintaining the current stance will be necessary in order to sustain these improvements.
Analysts had predicted that the MPC would leave the benchmark unchanged to spur economic growth in the fourth quarter of the year. The committee also noted that the bearish trend experienced in the capital market since the beginning of November is an attestation to the sustained stability in the equities market. In the meantime, the federal government is also proposing raising minimum online banking transaction that will attract stamp duty from 1,000 naira to 10,000 naira. Organizations that pay their taxes not less than 90 days before the due date may also get bonuses between 1 and 2%. These are some of the proposals in the Tax and Fiscal Law Amendment Bill, also known as the Finance Bill, currently before the National Assembly. The executive bill seeks to amend the Petroleum Profit Tax Act, Customs and Excise Tariff Act, Company Income Tax Act, Personal Income Tax Act, Value Added Tax, Stamp Duties Act, and the Capital Gain Tax. Meanwhile, the Minister of Finance, Budget and International Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says the federal government targets 15% tax to GDP ratio with the new finance bill. And key players in the advertising sector in Nigeria are in Abuja for a two-day national conference that is expected to chart a course towards achieving the full potential of the multi-billion naira industry. Moplang Dakok has details.
People get their news and information from more media sources than ever before.
Advertisements like this in today's world go beyond the use of mass media, especially with the advent of social media. What experts say, the ability to package a short and simple message that will convince buyers on a particular product or service is key. This conference, with the theme Advertising in the Digital Age, towards shaping Nigeria's advertising sector for economic development, is aimed at achieving this.
I wish to appeal to you all, renowned professionals, to always make our national interest paramount in your undertakings. The Code of Advertising Ethics should not be taken lightly.
The advertising profession is an essential bridge which requires no dichotomy between the public sector and the private sector to exist.
A review of the 1987 communication policy of the Federation to accommodate the new order is also on the table at the conference.
The investment in up-to-date tools and technology and the capacity to attract more capable professionals, and coupled with a more strategic approach to public communication, the overall benefit to government will be a better managed machinery.
Adopting innovation and digital tools towards tackling the challenges of the industry in Nigeria also featured prominently.
Thank you, Moplang. As the federal government looks inward to raise revenue and grow the economy, attention is also on the automobile industry. Benny Adams has details.
Car manufacturers globally are showing a shift in trend, moving increasingly towards producing more environmentally friendly vehicles, and the automotive industry in Nigeria is not left out of this exciting revolution, where cars are not only powered by fossil fuels like petrol and diesel, but electrified. These wheels, powered by electricity, have hit Nigerian roads and running, with virtually every big car stand gradually filling with cars that are not quite fully electric but electrified, and while some are self-charging, others are plug-in. They are called hybrid cars. They use two engines powered by an electric motor and a conventional engine. Experts say the electric engine powers the car at lower speed and gas engines power it at higher speed, switching between electric to petrol and offering durability, enhanced efficiency, and mitigating greenhouse emission, as well as achieving optimum fuel efficiency. To ensure sustainability and in-country production, the National Automotive Design and Development Council, in collaboration with investors in the automotive industry, have identified Usmanu Danfodio University, Sokoto, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and the University of Lagos as pilot institutions to provide technical support.
Well, Nigeria is said to be the future of automotive industry in Africa, driven by its large economy and population, as well as government intention to grow and improve the industry. The country spends about $8 billion yearly on importing vehicles into the country, with 90% of that going into the importation of fairly used cars. The federal government, with its commitment to industrialization, is looking to say this importation spree must end as it puts in place policies and strategies to revamp the industry in Nigeria. I had a chat with one of the world's best car designers on developing Nigeria's automobile industry, Jelani Aliyu. Let's listen. Jelani is an architect who designed a globally renowned electric car. He is currently the Director General, Nigerian Automotive Design and Development Council. It's a great pleasure to have you join us on the program today.
Thank you. Yes.
Now, with your background of the vehicle industry, automotive industry, how would you describe Nigeria's situation?
I think the automotive sector in Nigeria is looking up. There's a lot of development that has happened in the last couple of years. If you remember, back in the 70s and 80s, we had a vibrant automotive sector. And then because we were so dependent on crude oil, and in around about 1986, the price of a barrel of crude oil dropped from about $26 down to $10, completely negatively affecting the economy. And the automotive sector was not spared. So the potential for growth back then was dramatically hampered. But now the federal government is very committed in reversing that trend and towards the promotion of the promotion of local automotive production in Nigeria.
Now, I'm glad you said the country is interested in changing the narrative. Now, it seems like there has been challenges with inconsistencies with policy, with about $8 billion yearly on imported vehicles. Is there a consistency or is there a gap somewhere?
Like I mentioned, what happened was the automotive production was hampered by the negative economy. And this goes way back to 1986. Like I mentioned, the price of crude oil dropped so low that the whole economy was affected. And that is why we are now currently implementing the NAIDP, the National Automotive Industrial Development Plan. It's a set of fiscal incentives and other programs to resuscitate the automotive industry. And since that program started, quite a number of automotive companies have started production in Nigeria. And just within the last 2 years, we've had significant development. Honda just started the production of the HR-V in Ota, Ogun. Dangote Sina Trucks is producing heavy-duty trucks. Peugeot just started the production of the Peugeot pickup. So there's quite a bit of activity that currently, especially in the last couple of years, has taken place.
Okay, you're talking about a lot of activities. It seems like there's a private-public thing going on there, or is it who is driving this
Yes.
change?
When you look at the automotive industry around the world, it is really not governments that build vehicles or produce vehicles. What government does, it provides the necessary positive environment for the private sector to come in and produce vehicles. And that is exactly what we're doing in Nigeria. We're promoting the development and production of vehicles by giving OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, the right business environment in Nigeria to produce. So that is why we have Honda here, we have Peugeot here, we have Dangote Sina Trucks. So government really doesn't build or manufacture vehicles. We support the private sector to come in, invest and produce those vehicles.
What's the affordability in all of this?
Yes, affordability, we're working very hard with the companies to make cars even more affordable. Just last week, Innoson of Nnewi introduced a whole new assembly line that is automated and is significantly bringing down the cost of vehicles. So we'll continue to work with the OEMs, the companies, to drive down the cost of vehicles.
Is the Buy Made in Nigeria products working in this sector?
We believe it is. There needs to be more commitment from Nigerians to really buy made in Nigeria, because there's quite a number of vehicles that are made in Nigeria. So we hope to drive that even further.
Okay. I'm still going to go back on the affordability. There was a time where cars would be easily bought by individuals. Now it seems like it's a bit on the high side. And I'm made to understand that there's a financing plan towards that direction. How is that going?
Very well. Actually, we're at the stage of the MOA, a Memorandum of Agreement, with a number of banks. We're working with Jaiz, Wema, and Zenith to provide single-digit financing for made in Nigeria vehicles. And we have reached an advanced stage, and we hope that by early next year we'll have this program rolled out. So when it's up and running, Nigerians would be able to put down just about 10% and drive off with a brand new made in Nigeria vehicle and pay over 60 months, 5 years. We believe this will help build capacity and enable Nigerians to drive off with brand new vehicles, because only in Nigeria that when you need a new vehicle you have to put down 100%. A lot of these are the places where we go and we see people driving brand new cars. They really don't have to put down all the money at one time. They pay over time.
Now when you say Nigerians, who are you referring to? Is there a particular target?
Any Nigerian that can prove that they have a sustainable income and will be in a position to pay monthly would qualify.
Countries like South Africa and India that are about the same developmental level that we are have gone far in the automotive industry. What's going on there?
Yes, well, the automotive sector is not divorced from the rest of the economy. When the economy is very positive, the automotive sector picks up because it means people have jobs and they can afford vehicles. Now Nigeria has gone through trouble in the last 30, 40 years, and so the economy hasn't been as progressive as it should have. But in the last probably 5, 6 years, a lot has happened, especially in the last 4 years. The economy is picking up, and we are now at a stage in the Nigerian economy where there is strong commitment from the federal government to really turn things around. We believe this is a federal government that is very committed to reaching out and positively touching the lives of each and every Nigerian. So we're working with that, we're leveraging on that, and we're bringing in these policies, like I said, the NAIDP, and a whole host of other programs and initiatives that will make it easier to produce and to buy vehicles in the country.
Okay, you're talking about how friendly the Nigerian economy is now for the industry. Now, in terms of investment climate, putting in mind the AFCTF by March 2020, how does this play out?
Well, our focus is to make Nigeria the hub for automotive production. We believe if we build capacity, if we provide the right types of vehicles, if we give businesses the necessary support, they will come into Nigeria and produce, and then they can export. So no matter what the agreements are, if we drive that high efficient manufacturing of automobiles, we believe we'll have a competitive advantage in the region.
I heard you talking about promoting design capabilities.
Yes.
How is that going?
Very well too. Just about a couple of weeks ago, we launched what we call the NADDC Automotive Design Challenge. When you look at what's happening around Nigeria, there's a lot of very talented young kids who are gifted with the design capabilities. So we're doing this challenge to identify who they are from across the country. It's in two stages. The first stage is geopolitical. So each geopolitical zone we hope will produce first, second, and third winners of this design competition. You either design a mini taxi or a cost-effective mini tractor. Then all these winners from the geopolitical zones would then come and compete for a national prize. So through this, we hope to identify the best potential car designers in Nigeria, bring them close, further understand their capabilities, and see how we can help them support, develop those talents.
Okay, we're talking about improving the business environment. We're talking about building capacity. Now, if the average Nigerian works on owning a car with the financing scheme on ground, talking about support structures from the mechanic on the roadside to the big diagnosis centers, the technical aspect that supports this industry, where is that?
It's being built. One of our mandates is to improve the skill sets of Nigerians, to train them on how to understand the technologies that are now embedded in new vehicles so that they can effectively diagnose problems and fix those vehicles. And that is why so far the council has trained about 20,000 youth in what we call mechatronics. And then we're also currently building 7 automotive training centers, 1 in each geopolitical zone and the 7th here in Abuja, so that we have professional centers where Nigerians will continue to go to be professionally trained and be empowered. We're also working towards getting the necessary approval to start what we call the Automotive Center of Excellence. This would be a degree awarding institute here in Abuja where you would go to learn and get degrees in anything and everything automotive. So you'd go there to become an automotive engineer, an automotive marketer. You'd get a degree in those fields. So there's a number of things that we are doing to really empower Nigerians, make them be as capable as they could be in terms of understanding new automotive technology, and then also empowering them and in effect support pulling about 100 million Nigerians out of poverty.
Okay, let's go back to where you started from, electric cars. The world is going global.
Yes.
Where is Nigeria in electric cars?
Yes, that's a very interesting question, and we're very excited about it. Like you said, the world is going, electric. And so what we're doing is we cannot turn our back to technology. So we need to understand electrification and see how we can adopt it, and if need be, develop it to further suit Nigerian conditions and environment. And that is why we're about to start an electric vehicle pilot program with 3 universities. We're speaking and discussing and strategizing with Nsukka, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, okay. University of Lagos, and Stanford University in Sokoto. Oh. We are working towards procuring vehicles, electric vehicles, bringing them in to really understand the opportunities, challenges, and ways of adapting these vehicles to further fit Nigeria. At the same time, expose these students to these new technologies. So we hope that we'll also get the necessary information needed to help us develop and implement an electric vehicle policy that will drive more electric vehicle development and production in Nigeria.
If there's the capacity to build in-house, is there a chance for revenue generation?
Yes, and let me say that there are already vehicles being produced in Nigeria. Like I mentioned, Honda is producing in the country. You have Lanre Shitu, you have Dangote Sina trucks, you have Yutong Bus, you have Inouye, you have Innoson in Inouye. There's really quite a bit of activity already happening in Nigeria. And the revenue generation will come from taxes that these companies would pay, and then more importantly, the hundreds of thousands of jobs that would be created by the automotive sector.
There's a lot of assembly going on. And when will Nigeria start from scratch to finish rather than assembling?
That's another very interesting question. When you talk about, imagine for example, the real American vehicle, Chevrolet, which is made in America. Well, even a Chevrolet that is made in America has parts and components coming from China, Brazil, South Korea. So when you talk about building a vehicle from scratch, this goes way back to the 1930, 1915 when Henry Ford built the Model T. So that doesn't happen anymore. Vehicles now are a composition of components coming from all over the world. So Nigeria cannot, no one can build a vehicle from scratch. You have to cooperate with other companies that build the components. What you best do is you design and develop a vehicle to best fit your need, and then produce that vehicle within your country and create the thousands of jobs that are needed.
Okay. Now for someone who has the same dream and ambition that you do, tell us how it feels being in the industry and having the passion that you have and being a Nigerian.
It's a fantastic feeling. I've always loved cars since I was very young. I've always loved them, and I've always loved drawing. That's why I put the two together and went into automotive design. To have the opportunity to come back home and make my little contribution towards the automotive sector and hence towards the development of our people, I'm greatly, deeply honored with this opportunity.
Jelani Aliyu, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. We have been talking to Jelani Aliyu, who is a globally renowned electric car designer. He is also currently the Director General, Nigerian Automotive Design and Development Council. That was an earlier recorded interview with Jelani Aliyu. Now, in midweek trading, the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed in the red. The all-share index depreciated by 0.33% to close at 26,795.86 basis points. A total of 181.6 million shares were traded in 3,306 deals valued at 1.3 billion naira. Market capitalization stood at 12.9 trillion naira. The top gainers was led by Zenith Bank, QTEX and NACO, while the losers chart, Cadbury, Glasgow Smith and FBNH. The top trades were Transcorp, Zenith Bank and Chams. Now going global, European shares reach a 4-year high as President Trump says US-China close to a trade deal. Bosede Abel has a review of global markets.
Global markets opened the 27th day of November mostly positive as investors are optimistic after President Donald Trump on Tuesday said that Washington and Beijing were in the final throes of talks aimed at securing a trade deal. In Asia, the Hang Seng Index closed 0.15% higher at 26,954. Nikkei in Japan rose 0.28%, while Shanghai Composite declined 0.13% to 2,903.19. Dow future stocks in the United States dipped 3 points but indicated a positive open of more than 55 points. Futures on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite were both marginally higher. European market participants kept a close watch on the latest political developments out of the United Kingdom as the country heads for a fresh set of elections on December 12th. In Africa, most stocks opened early trading positive, while on the flip, Nairobi's all-share dropped 0.24%.
Global Market Report wraps up this edition of Business Express. Don't forget you can access all previous episodes on YouTube, and you can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is @NTA News Now. Don't forget the hashtag BizX. We value your feedback, so keep them coming. Join us again on Friday for another edition of the program. I am Amina Nujaim.